Hello, my name is Soukup, and I am the COO of Pinstripes. And I have been working with the team, with our founder, Dale Schwartz, very diligently for the last 12 years to really grow and establish our brand. We currently have, and I'm happy to say, and humbly proud, can I say that? Humbly proud, to say that we have currently 4 locations in Chicagoland, 1 in Minneapolis, 1 in Kansas City, 1 in DC, and 1 in Bethesda, Maryland. So in the next 6 months, we're going to open 1 in Dallas, Fort Worth. We're going to open 1 in Cleveland and 1 in Houston. And then we have plans the year after, and the year after, and the year after, and there's some international growth on the horizon as well. And I know Dale's going to give you some of that information tomorrow. So we're going to talk about team building for growth today. How many people in this room, see a show of hands, wish that they had more talent or better talent within their organizations? If there's anybody that didn't raise their hand, I need to talk to them after this is over. So I think the best way for me to really give you guys some nuggets and things that you can maybe take with you, and that's what I always look for when I come to these kind of gatherings, is what can I take away and what can I take home, is to tell you a bit of a story. So this is a rendering of our first location in Northbrook. In 2006, I was brought on a year before inception to work with Dale and put together some terrific teams. It was always our goal to open 80 to 100 locations. So we had huge aspirations out of the gates. Those are big aspirations. For any of you that are running centers, understand that 36,000 square feet of multi-faceted venues, and to do 80 of 100 to 100 is a huge undertaking. So I was pretty laser focused on getting the greatest talent and the best team that we could possibly get assembled. And Dale and I were interviewing and talking to people in the community. These renderings are kind of near and dear to me because it's really the only tool I had. I basically had them glued to me. I slept with the renderings. I loved the renderings, and was really painting a picture of what we were trying to do as our brand. Now, let me say, I respect all brands. I think hospitality is incredibly hard. You have to have a passion. You have to love the game. Otherwise, you're in the wrong business. So this is the story of our brand and what we were trying to do. So I would take the rendering, and in talking to people, all different types of people. And I come from the F&B background, so I was trying to talk to people that really understood service. Talking to people from Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, Hillstone Corporation, Let Us Entertain You. Those are some creme de la creme of service in the service industry, and spent a lot of time talking to them. And when I would describe the venue, I would look at this rendering and say, okay, folks, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have, it's 36,000 square feet. It's going to be all Jerusalem stone, okay? And we're going to have a large wine cellar in the corner there, and we're going to have Italian-American wines that are going to make its way throughout the venue, and we're going to serve local craft beer to wherever we are in the country, and we're going to make all of our food from scratch in-house. We're going to make our own pasta. We're going to make all of our own hamburger. We're going to make our own gelato. We're going to make everything from scratch. Very chef-driven, and we're going to have a huge event business, and we're going to do weddings, bar mitzvahs, class reunions, corporate gatherings. We're going to do all that. And we're going to have a from-scratch bistro and great service. It's going to be a community venue, and families are going to come. And then on this side of the venue, we're going to have bocce, and on this side of the venue, we're going to have bowling. Right there, to tell you the truth, in 2006 is kind of where I lost them. Because nobody from the Four Seasons was going to come and work at a bowling alley, right? And nobody from Ritz-Carlton was going to come work at a bowling alley. It wasn't going to happen. So we were struggling to put together phenomenal teams. In fact, it was a struggle to put not only the management team together, but it was a struggle to put the first original service teams together. and spent times in those communities talking to servers and bartenders. But why would they leave the little gig that they had working at Yard House or working at J. Alexander's where they were making money and come and work at a bowling alley and some idea that had never been done? They didn't, and they wouldn't. So we opened our first location, 2007. Dale's dream came to fruition, and we accomplished that goal. But I can tell you, we basically had the bad news bears of servers, and we had a pretty ragtag team of managers put together. We had some folks from J. Alexander's, we had some folks from Redstone, we had some folks from Darden as well, but it was tough. We got it open and it was extremely busy. That was the good news. Successful, right? Great. But it wasn't what we thought it was going to be, and it wasn't the talent we wanted. But we had to grow and we had to keep going. So we went to a place called South Barrington. I don't know if anybody's ever been to that neck of the woods, but we moved that way because urban sprawl was going that way. And that was really 2007, early 2008. I'm showing you this picture because that's what the Dow looked like at the end of 2008. So when we looked around our beautiful hole in the ground out there in South Barrington, all we saw was some cornfields, some developments that stopped, and really nothing else. I looked at Lita, our chief training officer, and she looked at me and I said, we're in trouble. This is going to be really hard. You thought assembling the team for the first team was going to be hard? We're really going to see what we're made out of. But we took a page from our dear beloved Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who was then the chief of staff for Obama, and he said, quote, and I quote Rahm Emanuel, "We will never let a crisis go to waste. We will take advantage of it and do things that we normally couldn't do." And that's exactly what we did. So in that time, we looked inward. We still didn't have the talent in our first location, but what I had was a bunch of college-educated folks that were extremely smart, extremely talented, and we figured out how to develop them. We figured out our culture, our soul. We figured out exactly what we were all about, and we grew. And we grew them, and we grew those people. So out of that location, we established 4 general managers, most of which are still with us today. One is on the cusp of a regional position, 3 chefs, and 4 sales gurus. So kind of impressive from looking inward, okay? But we did create that core culture and that strong culture. But the problem was, this was the problem. The problem was when we brought people out from the outside back into that culture, and this is what I call the outcast culture. I love the little yellow guy, right? I've had those days, okay? So what the outcast culture is trying to bring higher level people in from different organizations to be successful within our core organization that we established. It wasn't working. We had to reevaluate how we were teaching, coaching, and training, how we were bringing these people into our organization, because there's no way that we were going to grow to 80 to 100 locations in the United States just by developing talent from within. There wasn't enough leaders. There wasn't enough good folks to do that. So how did we do that? Well, we reevaluated who we were bringing in, okay, because to date it wasn't working very well. I remember I had one young man tell me, "You've crushed my soul," okay? We definitely didn't want to be in the soul-crushing business. He was having a really difficult time. He was a super talented guy, and I had high hopes for him, but he just couldn't do it. He couldn't run a multifaceted venue, and he couldn't run 3 events in the bistro at the same time, or how does great service look like in a gaming venue? What does that even look like? I'm sure some of you folks deal with that. What are the steps of service when serving a full dinner, a filet dinner, and a bottle of wine on a bocce court? I don't know. I've never seen it before. We were figuring it out. So we massaged that process and we worked with the people that we brought in. We listened to them, and we got their feedback, and we made them part of the momentum and part of the growth. We picked their brains of what was the stumbling blocks for them, and why weren't they successful. So we ended up with a pretty good soul, with a nice culture. We have an integrated culture now. Clearly, we wouldn't be in the place that we are if we didn't establish that. So we currently bring in some great lateral hires from the outside, which we've seen be really successful. And I'm excited to say, as to date, we've done very well with our Cleveland team and our Fort Worth team, which are coming, or which are on deck, if you will. And we've got a Houston thing working as well. And we've been successful in bringing higher level talent in and combining that with our soul and our core culture. We also spent an exorbitant amount of time recruiting at the top 15 hospitality colleges in the nation. And I am very much personally a part of that. I just got back from Oklahoma State. I flew from Oklahoma State to this gathering. And I think it's a crazy important part of the process. If you're not involved, if you're CEOs or COOs and you're not involved with your recruiting process, you might want to get involved. You might want to understand what your recruiters are saying. Because I'm here to tell you, if there's a 3-hour recruiting thing going on and they spend 2 hours on the phone, they're probably not saying what you want them to say. So we spend a lot of time talking to students and really fostering young talent as well. So the team, and I didn't talk much about our corporate structure, and I'm going to touch on that for a second. It's really 4 legs to the table of our corporate structure. We have a front-of-the-house operations team, which makes the magic happen every day. We have a culinary team, which makes its own magic happen, which we all know is very difficult. We have an unbelievable culinary director. We also have a very robust sales team that's keeping our venue packed and full of events. And the last piece of the puzzle is our marketing team. Just in the last 6 months, we've acquired and added a chief marketing officer who was a VP from Pepsi. So we are establishing a great marketing team as well. So all these teams are sitting down at the table, all the leaders of all these teams are sitting at the table and figuring out how and which way and which direction we're going to take the brand with, of course, Dale's leadership. And this is, I'm always invigorated by the meetings because they're all connected. They're all connected. You can't have the marketing team going off and doing its thing without the ops team, right? That's never going to work. And certainly, if the chef and the culinary team's not included, that doesn't work at all. So we are moving, like Dale says, we are moving our yacht like a speedboat, and oftentimes to be that nimble has helped us have the success we've had. So a little bit of recap on the things that I've covered. I would encourage you all to, if you're wanting to grow your brand and grow your teams, come up with a dynamic recruiting process and really think about what that is and who's doing it. Develop a sound interview and hiring process. I took a page from Whole Foods. In our interviewing and hiring process, we don't bring in managers unless the other managers all interview and feel good about it. Because we all know, I don't know how many sports buffs are out there, but chemistry is really what's winning championships. So if we have great chemistry within our venues, one would think we would win championships, and that's what we're playing for. Grow your talent from within. Don't lose sight of the people that are in your venues. They are your strongest bearers of culture. Foster an integrated culture. Don't forget that, because you can't grow without bringing great people in from the outside and having them feel the momentum and feel the growth. Create a culture of learning and teaching. Challenge your people. The number one thing that I hear from anybody that I sit down and talk to, and when they're leaving other organizations, is this. I don't feel challenged. I don't feel like I'm growing. And I just feel like I'm kind of out there in the ocean. And I want to have a purpose, and I want to take my career to a different level. It's not, I'm not making enough money. That's not what they said. So I would focus on challenging them in the right way. And last but not least, and really, I owe Dale this nugget, is watch your layers. Because we run Pinstripes in a very lean fashion, and we avoided the red tape. we are able to get things done very efficiently, and it's really helped us to succeed. So in closing, like I said, I respect all brands. I don't know what your brand is. Hopefully I could give you a little bit of something you can take back with you. But I love hospitality. I thank you for having me, Ben. Thank you so much.